Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Lennon Chang. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owner of the land we are all zooming from and pay respect to the elders present, past, present, and emerging. I'm Lennon Chang. I'm a senior lecturer in criminology at Monash University, and also the coordinator of the Monash Cybercrime Hub. This is the hub that we organized together with Professor Jonathan Clough from Monash Law School. And this section will be a good showcase of our work at Monash on cybercrime. Also the network that we have been built in the past few years. We'll also showcase some of the research that we've been doing in the past few years, especially the research done by the PhD students. So the first hour of this section, there will be a pre-recorded videos that I've done with colleagues from the Indo-Pacific region. And this includes academics from Vietnam, from India, from Taiwan, and from Thailand. So they will talk about the challenges their country are facing against cybercrime, and they will also have an introduction on existing cybercrime law and regulations, and touch on the need for collaboration in the future. And the second half, we will have three members of our hub to talk about their research project. So they will touch on different types of technology and crime, including IoT and domestic violence, including surveillance, and including internet fraud. So without further ado, I'll pass the control to Michael, and he will show us the pre-recorded interview for the first hour. Michael, over to you. Great to have Dr. Hai to share with us on what cybercrime situation is in Vietnam. So Dr. Hai, can you introduce yourself a little bit to all our audience?
Yep. First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Lennon Chang, having me to join. It's a very interesting it's a conversation. Yeah, I'm Hai Luong. It's I graduated my PhD in the MIT University in Melbourne. I spent nearly 20 years to design and teaching for law enforcement agencies in the Vietnam, particularly with the police and police training in the Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. And we also focusing on high-tech crime or anti the cybercrime since 2010. It's compared with the other countries in the Southeast Asia, it's quite new. And I'm very happy to join this informal conversation to share just my humble knowledge regarding to cybercrimes in Vietnam.
I think Dr. Hai has done quite a couple of papers on cybercrime in Vietnam, and we know Vietnam has been seen as an emergent hub for cybercrime in the region. Could you tell us a little bit on what are the popular type of cybercrime in Vietnam and the development of cybercrime laws and regulations in Vietnam at this stage, compare with the Convention on Cybercrime, which you have done recently?
Yeah. First of all, I want to raise and share from my background regarding to the key cybercrime problems in the Vietnam. Perhaps I can share at least 5 main points regarding to the cybercrime problems in the Vietnam currently. Firstly, is the scope and nature of market. As you may know, Vietnam is a country with a highly increased number of use internet and ITC. It's more over 50 million in internet use. Yeah, that means over 55%. I'm not quite sure exactly, but over 50% population in the Vietnam now use the internet with social media such as Facebook or Twitter and so on, even though with their own software. For example, Yalo is now the number one software. The same Weibo in China. And online public services and e-government in Vietnam also expanding recent 5 years. Many public services had been conducted via the internet, such as e-tax, e-custom, important export, etc., e-business registration, or e-commerce and online payment. It's more and more common in the Vietnam. That's why it's Vietnam now is faced to a lot of challenges. Practical challenges to prevent or combat with the cybercrime threats in the Vietnam. It is the first key point is regarding to scope and nature market. The second key point, I think, is Vietnam now still lacking a victim, survey on the cyber crimes. Yeah, absolutely. It's a big loopholes. And also Vietnam absent a victim survey regarding to cybercrime or cybersecurity. The number 3 key problem in Vietnam regarding to cybercrime, I think Vietnam now the various types of cybercrimes in the Vietnam, including cyber websites, attack website, and computer system attack, online frauds, even those with the illegal gambling. It's a really serious concern in the Vietnam. Yeah, as you can see, it's recent years, a lot of case study to demonstrate the diverse type of cyber crimes in the Vietnam. The number 4 is the key problem in the Vietnam now. I think it is lacking national action plan to combat the cyber crimes. As you may know, compared with the drug trafficking, is my strongest topic with my PhD and my book. It's compare the other one, for example, hacking or smuggling of migrants. Cybercrime is quite new in the Vietnam. That's why my concern is the Vietnam now lacking the national action plan. The strategy, the whole strategy, like in the UK or in Australia or US. I'm still slow to upgrade the same national action plan. The last but not least, I think in the Vietnam now unbalancing to invest for the law enforcement agency compare the rest of one. Of course, now Vietnam just only invest for the counter high-tech crime department in the Ministry of Public Security, or some agencies in the defense ministry. The rest one is still underdeveloping. In a nutshell, I think it's on above explanation. I want to illustrate at least 5 main cybercrime problems in the Vietnam now.
That's great. Indeed, especially for developing countries like Vietnam, we see the emergence of technology, but the laws and regulations are always not, or even the resources are not really ready for this type of new crime. And we do encourage government to put more resources on that. But when we're talking about this, how I know in Vietnam you recently passed the national security law and the cybercrime law, which is sort of aligned with the Convention on Cybercrime, which you mentioned in your paper. Could you sort of give us some ideas on that and the issue, the problems or the issues in the crime investigation? Since you were the police and you've been doing a lot of police training and police-to-police collaborations in this area.
Yeah, absolutely. You're correct. Yeah, it's dealing with the emergence of cybercrime threats as Vietnam now also already to prepared and pass several laws or regulation. I can share some main points regarding to what is the strength or what is the weakness of the current regulation under the Vietnamese law to combat with the cybercrime and cybersecurity. Since 1997, when Vietnam covered internet services providers, the internet's booming in the Vietnam year by year, and as I mentioned before that now over 50% the population, they use internet and social media. Unfortunately, it's quite slow. It's from my research. We review whole of the system laws in the Vietnam. Unfortunately, until 2010, the first statement by the Communist Party declared which it's required to enhancing the party leading position to combat the cybercrime. As you may know, it's quite similar with China. In the Vietnam, we follow the Communist Party. Therefore, the whole of the legal or the legislation have to under discussion and exchange or passed by the Communist Party first. Even though they not the pass law, the government and National Assembly is the highest to make the law, but the Communist Party is the first highest ranking to discuss first. Therefore, until 2010, the first statement by the Communist Party to request the whole of the country to combat cybercrime. And 1 year later, 2011, the first directive, this is still not law. That's only directive by the Prime Minister. They request and they pushed to measure to ensure cybersecurity. And as far as after a couple of these important regulations by the party and by the government, February 2010 is the Department of Counter High-Tech Crime, hosted and organized by the Ministry of Public Security in the Vietnam. It's established. It is the first time. You can imagine 10 years ago. Compared with the reality of the cybercrime threats, for me, I think it's quite slow. That's why I think it is also one is the weakest when a lot of the emergency or in a lot urgent request to push more regulation, for example, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, I mean the digital money now still impact directly or indirectly in the Vietnam, but the Vietnam still slow regulated, I mean the legalized this point. On the other hand, with the law enforcement, particularly with the policing, it's my training areas. Yeah, you can see 2010 when the first time Ministry of Public Security established it. It's the high-tech crime investigation department. That's why in the Police Academy, we have also very, very new one. It's just only 10 years to create is an independent department. I mean, the faculty of counter cybercrime as well. Very new one. We lack up a lot of the theories and practice from the Western countries. That's why policing in the cybercrime in the Vietnam still need more develop. And last but not least, for the weakness in the Vietnam, it is the research. Yeah, the research communities in the Vietnam, that's only very limited with just some key persons who they are, my college, my over students, and some of them is now still conducting their PhD or their master. I hopefully it's come next year, we can call for further the researchers and scholars to involve this cyber crimes network.
Well, you did actually touch on the question. I'm really interested to know in Vietnam at the moment. I know we see, like what you say, students are coming out from Vietnam to do their PhDs or research in in Western society, Western countries on cybercrime issues. What do you see is the need now for Vietnam in terms of research environment, and how will Vietnam government or Western society, well, I shouldn't say Western society only, but countries outside Vietnam to help Vietnam in building up a better research environment in doing research on cybercrime?
Yeah, it's a very great question. It's not only just your concern, but also myself. It's based on my current interest of research. I'm very totally agree with your idea. It's Vietnam should be more open-minded and should be encouraged. That the law enforcement officer should be immersed with the international and regional network focusing on cybercrime. That's why it's very quick my thoughts. I think at least it's 5 initiatives to Vietnam. I mean, the government of Vietnam can support those policymakers or practitioners and scholars. Firstly, should be encouraged join international and regional network focusing on criminology in general and cybercrime in particular. For example, the ANYOC or the Asia Society of Criminology. for myself, I think it's just very limited. If I'm correct, maybe myself, so in the Asia Society of Criminology. Yeah, I hopefully through my network and my background, I can call for further the pupil to join this very interesting society network. And secondly, I think the Vietnam, yeah, as you may know, it's the current criminal code of Vietnam, 2015. Now they issues and separate, quite happy, they separate one chapter regarding to cybercrimes. It's some of my papers in the journal. We compare between the criminal code of Vietnam and the European Convention on Cybercrime, Budapest Convention. We really highly recommend the Vietnam should be regulate and regularize and also designed to fix with the Budapest Convention. Because, for example, with the data inference or child pornography or with the forgery signature in the digital device and so on. A lot of the specific offenders in the criminal law in the Vietnam not really fit and not similar with the Budapest Convention. Of course, in the ASEAN, as you may know, that only Philippines they ratify in this convention. Hopefully, in the next time, the Vietnam can follow up and the rethinking and also join this convention. That's why my second point, I hopefully can call for the scholar. Currently, I also create very small criminologist on the Facebook. I also hosted this group, and I encourage my new college to share, exchange, and discuss more detail 10 articles regarding to cybercrimes. Ideally, I want to separate one article by one article groups. For example, with the transnational fraud or phone scam or fake card, something like that. Hopefully I can create this very small group in order to investigate very deeply in your knowledge regarding to structure or modus operandi. And the third one, I think Vietnam government should be collaborate with the pioneers to research and publish. For example, yourselves, Lennon, Chang, you are it's one of the first scholar in the Asia and Pacific to call for the scholar to looking for very deeply is the trend and patterns of cybercrime in the Asia. Yes, that's why I totally agree. Vietnam should be more collaborative with the pioneers in the cybercrime. Last but not least, I think Vietnam should be open-minded and establish multi-agencies rather than focus on the law enforcement agencies to combat the cybercrime. As you may know, with the booming of technology, the police from myself training police, not only the professional technicals or strategy by the police force, but unfortunately with the ICT and with the social medias and with the technology, we need more another agencies, for example, IT's expert or the other specialist. Hopefully we can create a mix and multiple agency. That means can help Vietnam improve effectiveness of the combating cybercrime. I think so.
Well, that's very interesting. It seems that and to have a lot of initiatives from Vietnamese government, but will you have any suggestions for those academics here who are listening to this talk? If they are really interested to do research in Vietnam or in ASEAN, how do you think they'll be able to get involved into this region?
Well, as you may know, it's with the Southeast Asia. Now it's increasingly with the internet and its impact on the society and economic and even though with the political as well. Therefore, ideally, I hopefully in the soon time yes, Asia, the criminologists, including with the policymakers and practitioners, should be create one is network for the collaboration and cooperation to research and publish their ideas and their findings regarding to the combat cyber crimes. It's a very, very, very good network where we can share and of course, share to be shared, even though maybe 10 countries in Asia, different legal system, but we can share with the policing in cybercrime. For example, we can compare and contrast modus operandi is a cyber-related crime in all the 10 countries. That is a very helpful to help other people understood the overall picture of cybercrime and also deploy in each country. It's a good idea.
Well, thank you very much. It's been very helpful and informative. I did learn quite a bit of the situation in Vietnam, though I got some backgrounds of the cybercrime in Vietnam. There are a lot of new things I really need to dig in further and then maybe collaborate with Dr. Hai in the future to understand cybercrime in our region better. Thanks again, Dr. Hai, and I might pass you more questions if there's any questions raised when this video has been broadcast.
Yes, very welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.